Most wars last a few years. The really bad ones last a few decades. But one war on this map lasted 781 years. That's longer than the entire history of the United States, times 3. Kings were born, grew old, and died without ever seeing it end. This is the Reconquista, the longest war in human history, and here's how it happened. Our story starts in the year 711 on the coast of Spain. Back then, Spain wasn't Spain. It was a Christian kingdom ruled by the Visigoths. Across the water in North Africa sat the Umayyad Caliphate, one of the biggest empires on earth. And in 711, a commander named Tariq ibn Ziyad crossed the strait with an army. He landed at a giant rock that still carries his name today, Jabal Tariq, Gibraltar. The Visigothic king, Roderick, rushed south to stop him at the Battle of Guadalete. Roderick lost. He lost the battle, his crown, and probably his life all in one afternoon. And with the king gone, the whole kingdom simply fell apart. Within about 7 years, almost the entire peninsula was under Muslim control. The armies pushed on over the mountains into France, until the Franks finally stopped them near Tours. They called this new land Al-Andalus, and it became one of the jewels of the medieval world. Only one corner held out, a thin strip of cold mountains in the far north. And in those mountains, the longest fight back in history was about to begin. Around the year 722, a Visigothic noble named Pelayo made his stand. At a place called Covadonga, hiding in a mountain cave, he beat back a Muslim patrol. It was a tiny battle. Honestly, barely a skirmish in the grand scheme of things. But that tiny win gave the survivors something priceless. A reason to believe. Pelayo founded the Kingdom of Asturias, the first spark of the Reconquista. And here's the thing you have to understand. This was not one continuous war. It was 7 centuries of raids, truces, betrayals, and long stretches of uneasy peace. For a long time, Al-Andalus was the strong one, and the Christian kingdoms were the underdogs. In the south, the city of Cordoba grew into the largest, richest city in all of Europe. It had running water, streetlights, public baths, and hundreds of thousands of people. While much of Europe sat in the Dark Ages, Cordoba had libraries with hundreds of thousands of books. Muslims, Christians, and Jews often lived side by side in a fragile balance called convivencia. Scholars there preserved ancient Greek knowledge that the rest of Europe had completely forgotten. In 929, their ruler declared himself caliph, and Cordoba hit its golden age. It looked like Al-Andalus might rule the whole peninsula forever. But powerful states have a habit of destroying themselves from the inside. In 1031, the mighty caliphate shattered into dozens of small, squabbling kingdoms. These little states were called taifas, rich and proud and constantly at war with each other. The Christian kings in the north looked down at this chaos and smelled opportunity. Slowly, their patchwork of kingdoms grew: Leon, Castile, Navarre, Aragon, and Portugal. To rally their soldiers, they adopted a fierce patron saint, Santiago the Moor Slayer. Pilgrims poured across the north to his shrine, and the war took on the feel of a holy mission. Orders of warrior monks like the Knights of Santiago and Calatrava sprang up to guard the frontier. Instead of conquering the taifas outright, at first the kings just taxed them. They forced the Muslim rulers to pay protection money, called parias, just to be left alone. Then, in 1085, the Christian king Alfonso VI took the great city of Toledo. Losing Toledo terrified the Muslim Taifa kings. They needed help, and they needed it fast. So they invited a fierce warrior empire from North Africa to come save them, the Almoravids. The Almoravids crushed Alfonso's army in the desert-style heat at the Battle of Sagradas. But there was a catch. They didn't just fight the Christians. They looked at the soft, wealthy Taifa kings and decided to conquer them too. This was the messy, chaotic world of one of history's most famous soldiers. His name was Rodrigo Diaz de Vivar, but everyone knew him as El Cid. El Cid was a warlord for hire who fought for Christian and Muslim rulers alike. In 1094, he carved out his own kingdom by conquering the city of Valencia. He became a legend, the ultimate symbol of an age where survival mattered more than sides. As the border crept south, kings handed out free land and charters to lure in brave new settlers. Meanwhile, Portugal broke away as its own kingdom and began its own march south. But when the Almoravids weakened, an even stricter empire replaced them, the Almohads. And for a while, the tide of the entire war swung right back toward Al-Andalus. Then came a single summer afternoon in the year 1212, and after 500 years of back and forth, everything finally started to change. The Almohad Caliph gathered a massive army to crush the Christian north once and for all. In response, the Pope in Rome did something dramatic. He declared this a full crusade. Suddenly, rival Christian kings who normally hated each other agreed to fight together. Castile, Aragon, and Navarre joined forces and marched south into the mountains. Tens of thousands of soldiers met the Almohad army at a place called Las Navas de Tolosa. According to legend, a local shepherd showed the Christians a secret path through the hills. That path let them surprise the enemy camp and shatter the Almohad lines. The victory was total. Almohad power in Spain was broken in a single day. It was the single biggest turning point in the entire 700-year war, and after that, the dam simply burst. A warrior king named Ferdinand III led the charge, and the cities began to fall. The great city of Córdoba, the old jewel of Al-Andalus, fell in 1236. 12 years later, in 1248, the huge port of Seville fell too. Piece by piece, city by city, 700 years of Al-Andalus was collapsing. Soon, only one Muslim kingdom was left standing in all of Spain, the Emirate of Granada. Tucked behind the mountains of the south, Granada was beautiful, wealthy, and clever. It survived for another 250 years by paying tribute and playing politics. And on a hill above the city, its rulers built a palace of impossible beauty, the Alhambra. For a while, it seemed like Granada might just be left alone forever. But in 1469, two royals got married, and the map changed for good. Isabella of Castile married Ferdinand of Aragon, uniting the two most powerful crowns in Spain. Together, they turned their combined might toward the very last Muslim kingdom. The final war for Granada dragged on for 10 brutal years, starting in 1482. One by one, its towns and fortresses were surrounded and starved into surrender. Inside the city, the last sultan, known as Boabdil, watched his world shrink around him. Finally, on the 2nd of January, 1492, the gates of Granada opened. Boabdil handed over the keys to the city, and the war was over at last. Legend says that as he rode away, he looked back at the Alhambra and wept. His mother supposedly told him not to cry like a woman for what he couldn't defend like a man. That spot is still called the Moor's Last Sigh. And so, after 781 years, the longest war in history finally ended. But that year, 1492, wasn't just an ending. It was the start of something enormous. With the war finally won, Queen Isabella had money and ambition to spare. That same year, she agreed to fund a hopeful sailor named Christopher Columbus. He sailed west, ran into the Americas, and changed the entire planet forever. For finishing the Reconquista, the Pope crowned Ferdinand and Isabella the Catholic monarchs. So the end of this ancient war helped launch the age of global empires. But there was a darker side to 1492 as well. That same year, the new rulers ordered all Jews to convert or leave Spain entirely. The centuries of convivencia, of living side by side, were coming to a violent close. The Reconquista didn't just draw the borders of modern Spain and Portugal. It shaped their language, their religion, and their identity for the next 500 years. Even the tidy name Reconquista is partly a story that later Spaniards told about themselves, and it left behind wonders that still stand today. The Alhambra in Granada, the Great Mosque of Córdoba, castles on nearly every hill. Stone reminders of a war so long that people were born, lived, and died inside it. 781 years, dozens of kings, one single unfinished fight. That is the Reconquista, the longest war the world has ever known. If you made it this far, subscribe for more history, explained one stick figure at a time. And tell me in the comments, could any modern country survive a war that long?